Awesome, thank you. All right, so we're recording. We've got our live transcript on, and we're going to do a little get to know you activity here at the beginning to see who's here today. And then we'll share a little bit about the certificate program and give you an overview of it. Hopefully that'll answer some of your main questions. And then you'll get to hear from our amazing current participants in the certificate. And then we'll have some open question and answer opportunities at the end, just in case there's any other looming questions that you have. So I'll just start by saying that a little bit more about me as the coordinator. I've been in this role for the last year, and the certificate program is in its second year, and we're in our fourth cohort. And so it's a really exciting time in the program, and I'm just so excited that you're all interested in it. And for me personally, over the last 10 years, I've been working in institutions of higher education and K through 12 schools implementing restorative justice. But I've also helped develop programming in community settings and jails and prisons. So you'll see here tonight that there's a lot of people coming from different backgrounds and perspectives, and the program in general is very broad in that it welcomes and explores all of these different ways that restorative justice can be implemented in our communities. So lots of cross-pollination and learning from one another that happens. And we also have our amazing panel of current certificate students. So Tolu, Aliza, Adele, Nicole, and Stefan are on the call here tonight, and they're representing restorative justice in higher education, in K through 12 schools, in nonprofits, in the community, and there's also graduate students that are here full time as masters or PhD students that are also doing the certificate. So there's many tracks that you can be on, and we'll share about those in a little bit more as well. But I just wanted to start off with a little activity where basically it's called Step Forward. If we were in person, we'd all like be in a line or in a circle, and we'd step forward into the circle. But since we're on Zoom, the way we can do it is by turning off our cameras. And then if you, when I share a prompt, if that resonates with you, then you can step forward by turning on your camera again so that we can see like who's in that mix. Yeah, so definitely feel free to turn off your camera right now. And then, so basically step forward or turn on your camera if you are a graduate student at USD. Where are the graduate students? All right, we've got a few of them. Thank you, everyone. All right, you can turn your cameras off again. And then for everyone else, if you're a professional that's not yet associated with USD, but you're interested in the certificate program, hello, nice to see you, nice to meet you. Some familiar faces, some new, so great to see you, thank you. Anyone that I missed that is not in either of those categories?
That would be me. I'm not in either of the categories. So.
Awesome, what category would you be in?
I'm not sure, so I'm not sure what category I'd be in, honestly, because I'm formerly incarcerated, system impacted, and I'm also an ABP facilitator. And I just graduated yesterday with the Restorative Justice Monterey County. I do help with like the Elevator Center, so I do a lot of volunteer work, basically.
Nice.
And that's about it.
Congratulations. Thank you so much for being here. Yes, and you would definitely be in the professional track. So not yet associated with USD, but hopefully soon. So we're very grateful that you're here. Thank you for speaking up and letting us know.
Okay.
Nice. Okay, so a few more things. So step forward if you're either currently working in or interested in K through 12 schools or working in the K through 12 system. Awesome. Hello, my teachers, administrators, staff, people that work with young people. That's awesome. Thank you for being here. What about if you're interested or currently working in higher ed? All right, thank you. Yeah, and some of this, I'm seeing the same faces pop up, so you might have crossover as well. Interested in the criminal justice system and transforming that system. Nice. Thank you. And last one, if you're interested in bringing RJ, or if you're currently working in nonprofits or the community. Nice. Yeah, so lots of overlap. And that's what's so beautiful, you know, when it comes to the certificate, we don't have like specific tracks. If you're, you know, like a K through 12 teacher, you go on this track. And if you're interested in the criminal justice system, you go over here. We're all together the whole time and we're learning from one another. And so it's really lovely to see that a lot of you have that overlap anyway, because we're going to experience that as well. So thank you. I'm just going to take a few minutes right now to go over some PowerPoint slides to give you an understanding of the certificate program, and then we'll turn it over to our panelists, because that's definitely where it's at. Okay, so I will share my screen here. Can everyone see my screen? It's working? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right. So, yeah, it's a mouthful. The name of the certificate is the Certificate in Restorative Justice Facilitation and Leadership. And that's because it's housed within the School of Leadership here at USD. So we really emphasize that leadership component. And like I mentioned, you know, it's for all different tracks. And maybe there's others that aren't on here and you're thinking to yourself, well, there needs to be another area on here, and that's great too. But in general, we see a lot of educators in K through 12 systems coming through the certificate. In criminal justice, it's, you know, police officers, district attorneys, those working with the system inside and out. People that have been through the prison system, you know, the whole gamut with the criminal justice system. Nonprofits, that looks a lot of different ways. It's people building out their own nonprofits to provide restorative services to the community, or it's people who are interested in doing restorative justice through nonprofit work. Higher education, that runs the gamut as well, because there's lots of, you know, higher ed is like mini cities. So it's all different kinds of topics within higher education, like conduct, community building, addressing sexual harm through restorative justice, and then the community. So that's, you know, includes everyone, right? And why a certificate? Well, I'm sure you're all aware that like there's a growing restorative justice movement that's just been building and building with time, and especially with all the social justice concerns that are present in the world right now. We're noticing that a lot of people are looking for alternatives to the traditional way of working, and restorative justice at the heart is a relational way of working. So it's not just reactive, like how do we address harm in a relational way, but it's how are we building social fabric and community in a positive way before there's a breakdown, and then using the same skills to community build to address that harm. So we're all used to it, and it's really a way of being and a culture that we have, not just a skill set. And what we've found over time through the center, because we've been doing trainings for years, is that there's something lacking when you just go to a one-off training. What we were finding is that when people were coming to trainings, we were spending a lot of time, instead of doing skill building, we were spending time trying to give everyone a historical perspective and foundational concepts about the principles of RJ. And that takes time and personal reflection. And so then after training, we were noticing, you know what, we're sending people out there into the world to do this challenging work of culture shift and, you know, using new skills. And that's very hard work to do alone. And so being in community as we're starting to implement is important. So that's really the main focus of this certificate. And I'll show you a little bit more detail here. So we're looking at, you know, our goal is effective restorative implementation in whatever field you find yourself in or that you want to be working in. And so that first course of the certificate is really building that foundational knowledge, and it's a lot of self-reflection. How do you fit into this restorative movement personally? And then course 2 is that intensive skill building. So that can either look like an in-person week-long intensive here at USD, or it's a 6-week online intensive. So there's both options. That's one theme of this certificate. There's lots of flexibility and options, which is important when we're all very busy and, you know, full-time professionals. So course 3 is then the putting the skills and the knowledge into practice in the world outside, but with a community supporting you. So we've got communities of practice for you. We've got where we pair each person with a mentor, someone that's been in the field that you're interested in for a long time and that can support your work. And then the most powerful part, I think, of the certificate that we're building out now that we've got, you know, a few cohorts that have graduated, is an ongoing community of practice that lasts for a lifetime. So it's not a certificate, you get it, you're done. It's like you're a part of this community forever. And we, you know, have an obligation to support one another as we do this tough work so that we don't feel alone and so that we're doing the best practice as we move forward. And just drilling down on even more detail, it's basically 9 units altogether. It takes a full year to complete, so it's definitely a commitment over time. But we create that length of time so that you can fit it into a very busy schedule that y'all have, and so that there's like scaffolding in our learning, and it's just not like a fire hose kind of experience. So the first course is asynchronous online. So there's no meeting time, so you can fit it into your schedule however that looks. And then, as I said, the skill building is either a 1-week in person in January or an online asynchronous 6-week course during summer. And then the course 3 is synchronous online. So there's only one time we might meet live, which is the course 2, or you can do the entire certificate online. But the course 3, we do meet live, you know, so it's basically we meet every 2 weeks to connect and to support one another and to practice circles. So that's just, you know, the general gist of things. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Stop share. And definitely, if you have any questions, like write them down, put them in the chat, because we want to capture it all, but I also want to make sure that we get to our panel, and then we can kind of open it up to any questions that you might have at the end. Okay, So, team, do we need to do a check-in? Or are we okay to go to the panel? We're good? Okay. Perfect. So we have 5 amazing humans here tonight. And I was hoping that Tolu, you could start us off. Tolu, you're working in higher education. Maybe you can just give everyone a sense of, you know, who you are, what you do, and your experiences in the certificate.
Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction, and it's grateful seeing all of you and being here with you tonight. My name is Tolu Coyote. I go by he, him pronouns. I work in Waterloo, Ontario, Canada. So from a little geography lesson, it's about 2 hours away, about 3 hours away from Detroit, and then about 1 hour away from Toronto, which is a very populous city in Ontario and Canada in general. I was able to do my undergraduate and my graduate work in the US. So you can tell by the Obama pictures, I'm a kind of pseudo-American. I've also enjoyed my time in the US, and I feel so connected to many of you. So I'm just grateful to be here tonight. My professional position at the university I work at is the Associate Director for Student and Community Engagement. And a large part of my professional portfolio is student conduct. So about 2 years ago, we started to make that transition from moving from a punitive system to a totally restorative system. And it's been, it's been a very interesting process. So that's where this kind of RJ certificate came up, and the opportunity to learn, to grow, to develop the skills. And it's just been such an amazing experience in regards to our faculty facilitators. And, you know, it's not just because Justine and David are here, like, they are experts. They're individuals that have a firm understanding of how to use RJ, how to inspire us to answer any questions we can have. And one thing about them is they're just so willing to meet your needs. I think that's one part of the program that really kind of excites me. All of us are coming from many different walks of life, and we have a lot of things going on in our lives. But just the receptiveness, the willingness to listen, the ability to connect with others has been a really positive experience. I think from an institutional standpoint, we're really happy with some of the changes that we're seeing with our student engagement. We're realizing that that old punitive system of giving out fines and, you know, kind of punishing and wagging your finger at students no longer works, that kind of lifelong learning opportunity. And I think the real personal development that RJ offers to individuals. When I began this program, I really didn't know a lot about RJ, but now I would like to consider myself an RJ practitioner. And I'm just so grateful to be a part of this cohort, to be able to learn, to grow and develop, and then take the learning back to my students and also my family. I don't want to keep on rambling because I'm just so excited about the program, but I've also seen benefits not only in my professional life, but my personal life. My ability to communicate, to connect with people, to actively listen and hear what's going on, and then to be able to prescribe a way forward by not directing it at people, but engaging with them in the circle practices have been very helpful. So overall, I think my experience has been very good. I've been very excited about the opportunity to continue learning and growing. And I want to encourage you that if you're thinking about the program, this is definitely a program you need to be a part of. So thank you for the opportunity once again, and I'll turn it over to our other panelists.
Thank you, Tolu. Aliza, would you be willing to go next?
Yes, of course. Thank you. Thank you, Justine, and thank you everyone for being here with us. So I work in a nonprofit area, and I'm currently a student at USD in a certificate program. My line of work is I'm working with women who's been trafficked for sex. I work with them. I work with the women in the San Diego detention facility and the women at juvenile hall. My role and my team role is to work with them to reintegrating back to society. And we provide services and resources for them so they can actually re-enter the workforce. So some of you might be familiar with the word COVID. And so when COVID hit it, everything stopped. They took all of the programs. So they closed the program in jail and in juvenile hall. So I didn't know what's next for me. And a friend of mine said, hey, what do you think about restorative justice? And I'm like, what? What is restorative justice? So I ended my meeting with him. I went home and I did my research. And then I thought, I'll call Justine to ask a few questions. And here I am. But I want to share with you something that just happened literally just today for me, and that implementing restorative justice in my own life. So, but before that, I want to give you like a short story that ties my experience into it. So in this course, we were watching some videos, which you watch a lot of videos with a lot of materials. And in particular, one video really struck me. I chose to watch a segment of the mother meeting the man who killed her son. And so when I read that title, I'm like, really? She's going to meet with him? Is it possible? So I was kind of like skeptical, thinking, how could it be? And I watched the video, and it was just absolutely breathtaking how they were sitting there in the process of conference, which you would learn when you sign up for the course, and simply having an authentic and honest conversation with each other. The man shared his story, the mother shared her story, and the way it ended just absolutely surprised me and struck me so deeply. This is what he said to her at the end, which really kind of like still resonated with me. He says to her, I don't want you to forgive me, but I want you to hear that I'm sorry. And in that very moment, this woman took her own self to become his mentor, to help him to recover from drugs and alcohol. And more so, she advocated for him to be released early from jail. And I was like, whoa, that's like crazy. So going to my life today, I have a situation in my life that I deal with. And yesterday I was like, I'm gonna go to court, and even the moment I say court, all I saw in my vision is like going to court, people with suits, judges, and the energy just like cringe me kind of thing. And I went to the beach this morning and I thought, wait a second, I'm in a restorative justice class. Why don't I do the restorative way? And the moment I said that, there was sort of like light that washed through me, and I thought, this is it. So I called some people to work with me and help me. And I just, I really feel in the story of the people in jail, what I really feel that when we have an opportunity authentically and in a safe place to share our utmost intimate stories, it opens the door for liberation, empowerment, and literally restorative. And what I saw from them is that they had a resolution, emotional and spiritual. And that's what I want to take with me to women who are sitting in jail, being punished, and don't have resolution within themselves because they'll never meet with their abuser, with their trafficker. But we can find a way through restorative justice to work with them, to liberate them from that shackle of the past. So that's my share. Thank you.
Thank you, Elisa. I want to pass it over to Nicole now.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nicole Dice. I go by the pronouns she and her. I am a second-year grad student at USD, and I'm studying nonprofit leadership and management. And when I was talking to my advisor and the different things I like to do as I finish school and join the workforce again, I was explaining to her how I would really like to help with the recidivism rate and reducing it, and also the school to pipeline, prison pipeline, to eliminate that or at least be able to offer resources. So my professor told me about restorative justice, And not knowing very much and just trusting my advisor, I joined the class, and to say it's changed my life would be an understatement. I thought I was on a certain path, and during this time at the class, in the program, the first class, I decided I really, really wanted to invest more time and energy into the restorative justice program. But with that being said, being a second year student, I was running out of units to continue on my my path to get my certification. So then I reached out to Justine, and she advised me that I could get the program continue on through the professional side. So with that being said, I've been both a student and coming from a professional background. So I was really lucky that I was able to kind of roll with the punches, and also Justine and David were willing to work with me and also make sure I was able to finish my certificate. And other things that really surprised me was the actual community building I would be doing within my cohort. I've made amazing friends outside of the restorative justice program. I've been able to do circle groups that I would not have had the opportunity to. So the biggest thing what opened up my eyes was all the new friends and community I was able to make within myself. And then circling back to the reducing the recidivism rate, I didn't really know what my plan was to help reduce. And as I started to learn about restorative justice and the importance of healing for both the offender and the person that was done harm or family that was harmed, and also the importance of having that community built for the individuals when they are released back to society, that they know they are not alone and they do have support and they are cared for and loved. And there is a community here for everyone. So with that being said, I am grateful you're all here, and I'm hoping that you will join the crew of Restorative Justice, and I will pass it back to Justine.
Thank you, Nicole. And I'll pass it over to Adele.
Hello, everyone. I'm Adele Blvd, and I am a lifelong educator. So I knew I wanted to be a teacher since 7th grade, never deviated, and have loved every minute of this profession, from being in the classroom at elementary and secondary schools. Then I moved into the building leadership role of elementary schools and secondary schools, went into central office as a deputy superintendent and superintendent of schools. And after 35 years, I retired, and I looked back on my career and I said, what have I done that has had the greatest impact on students, on teachers, and on families? And I had to say it was this work of restorative justice. So providentially, I got connected to restorative justice education in Colorado, and now I am a practitioner in K-12 schools. I got interested in this program because I wanted to broaden my lens. I, had spent all my life in education, and I wanted to understand this field beyond education. So I talked with Justine, and it just seemed like a perfect time to join the certificate program. So I want to highlight just a little bit about each course and what it's done for me. So course 1 was amazing, the rich resources and the rich relationships, even asynchronously, that we were able to develop. So the readings were profound, and they really broadened my aperture as to the contextual understanding of this work. And then we were in discussion threads with practitioners from many different fields, and would have personal conversations with the instructors. And it was really an amazing experience for me. I really gained quite a bit from course 1. And then we went into the intensive. I took the intensive course on facilitation skills. So the timing of that course for me was really great. I had been called into a high conflict situation in a school, and I had pre-conferenced everyone and kind of identified the roots of the conflict that had been going on for a long time, and had arranged to do a restorative circle with key members of that faculty. So the intensive week was the week before that restorative circle. And we were doing lots of things in facilitation. We were studying and practicing together, and 3 different strategies. I remember just getting really engaged with those strategies, and I starred them, and I'm like, I got to try these out. I got to work them into this restorative circle next week. So the next week we ran the restorative circle with the help of the strategies I had just learned the week before. And that circle went beautifully. And I was really grateful that those staff members were able to restore their relationship, make agreements with each other, move beyond the conflict, and they're really doing well. They've learned how to now do check-in circles with each other on a weekly basis. So that was just so beneficial to really be immersed in that facilitation course 2. For course 3, my practicum, I get calls and I get asked to respond to incidents in schools that are, that deal with cultural community, that deal with identity. There's been harm, they're racially charged. And yeah, restorative justice can do those things, but restorative justice is prevention and intervention. So I wanted to go beyond the Band-Aid. And I was thinking, can we create something that can engage people at the local level in a dialogue to build those relationships in a preventative way, create space to talk about what can be an uncomfortable conversation about cultural community, about identity. So I ran this by Justine, and I had seen some research where they had a series of 4 dialogues that had been put together to engage in this dialogue over time. So we talked about it, and I did create a prototype of these 4 circles for really building the capacity to sit together and to elevate, to hear stories, and to elevate common humanity and build relationships around what can be uncomfortable conversations. So Justine was amazing in helping me. And then in the 3rd course, you get a mentor. That has been so beneficial. And we've run this circle through one time, the sessions, 4 sessions, and we're going to repeat it and hopefully do some research with it so that we can put it out to the field. So none of this would have been possible without connecting to this community. So I'm grateful for the experience. I highly recommend it if you're interested in really deepening your knowledge, getting experience, and working on something creative. So thank you for hearing me tonight. I'll pass it back to Justine.
Thank you, Adele. And Stefan, you're up. Last one.
Thank you. I'll keep it short. I know I'm not one of the main panelists, but yeah, if I can speak to my experience being a student in the certificate program. Hi everyone, my name is Stefan Cohorts. My pronouns are he and him. I'm a PhD student at the University of San Diego. I'm also, and my background is in social work and in mediation and in restorative justice. I was trained in 2013, and I've tried to incorporate it in my work. I've primarily worked within education and criminal justice in K through 12 education. So I do have a background in RJ, but due to work and life, it was just I hadn't found a lot of opportunities in which to apply it, at the same time, I was being exposed to systems and structures of care and human service that claim to adhere to some of the values that are associated with social work or even RJ, right? But in certain situations were challenging, right? And weren't necessarily meeting all of those values. So one of the reasons why I'm excited to be in why I was excited to be in the certificate program is to really give me, is to, number one, sort of reintroduce me to the practice after I had been away for so long. And at the same time, really build in a way that I feel like a basic training, 3-day, 4-day training doesn't, right? It's a whole year of theory, training, and practice, which I think is really great for folks who have experience in RJ or who might be starting out. And I feel like I'm able to, well, there's a lot of flexibility within the certificate, both as a student again, and also as someone who's primarily worked in the field for many years prior to joining, where there's flexibility in and support in connecting what you are learning to what you are interested in doing within the practice. So that's something that I've cherished, and similar to what everyone else has said, right? I think being reintroduced to RJ, and hopefully for those who choose to sign up for the courses, experience this as well. It really is a paradigm shift and a mindset shift, where it manifests in our work, but it kind of exists in us, right? It's my experience and exposure to RJ has changed how I approach relationship with friends, family, and loved ones, right? How I talk to folks, and how I receive information, and how do I respond to situations of harm, both in my life and in my work. So it's really kind of it's a different way of thinking that focuses on relationships and healing, it is fundamentally based in the communities that we are in. So yeah, I'm very grateful to be here to speak on my experiences and hopefully give some clarity about what the certificate is.
Thank you so much. Awesome. I still see you spotlighted on my side, but I'm trying. Can everyone see everyone? Okay. Thank you so much. That was awesome. So such a deep well of wisdom and experiences and passion. So thank you for sharing some of that with us today. And for everyone, you'll notice some people are just learning about restorative justice, or it's put on their radar like right before they start, so they're very new to it. And then some people have been in the field of RJ for years. So I just want to highlight that there's really space for everyone. And our goal as a restorative community is to lift you up, and whatever phase you're in, to support you getting to the next level. And that's a community effort. Everyone in the certificate is a part of that. And then we also have this larger Center for Restorative Justice team. And you'll be learning from and connecting with a very diverse, incredible, deeply wise group of RJ practitioners and leaders across the country throughout the year-long certificate program. So just wanted to mention that and reiterate it. And then you also heard about like the flexibility of people, even flip-flopping between being a grad to a professional track. The idea is that the grad students and the professional track students are in the same cohort too. So there's that also cross learning. So yes, lots of possibilities. Whatever your unique needs are, like our hope is to meet them, because it's important to like figure out what each person needs as we move forward. It's a journey. And so I wanted to open it up to everyone. We have about 15 minutes left for comments, thoughts, questions about what we've shared so far, or anything you wanted to share about the certificate. And we're all here to answer your questions. I'm also, as you think about your questions, going to put, oops, I just sent that to Stefan only. I did not mean to do that, but the link to our website so that you can check out the details of the certificate program. And then also, just today, I got sent a little article from one of our graduates who's an attorney, and she just wrote a little something about her experience in the certificate and wanted to share that with all of you too. So yeah, there's also like people coming from an attorney background and legal experience too. And you can also write your questions in the chat if you feel more comfortable with that instead of sharing verbally. I know we just said a lot of information. Yeah, so we have a great question in the chat. Do the courses need to all be completed in 1 year, or is it possible to take a semester off and complete over a year and a half? Absolutely. It definitely happens either on purpose or because, you know, you start the program, you're in course 1, and then for whatever reason you need to take a break. Of course, it's helpful to, you know, try and complete the certificate as soon as possible, just so that the knowledge from the first course doesn't escape too long. But it doesn't even need to be the next semester. Yeah, so it's whatever works into your schedule. And it can also be like, I think he might even be on the call tonight, but there was someone who was wondering about starting in the fall with course 1, but not doing the in-person intensive and waiting until the summer for the online intensive, but just wanting to jump in and get started as soon as possible. So, you know, like that's planning ahead that you're in 2 separate cohorts. But I will say, like, we try and have a cohort model where you get to know each other during course 1, and it's asynchronous. So, you know, there's definitely community building, but if you needed to go into another cohort, it's okay. And then course 2, there's a lot of personal interactions between all of us. So we really build community in course 2. And then by course 3, I mean, we're like a family, you know, so we kind of travel the journey together. But each cohort is amazing and feels like a family. So you can jump in where you left off if you need to.
Justine, we have a hand up. Raphael.
Oh, yes. Oh, 2 hands. Sorry, I missed them. Thank you so much. Yes. So Rafa. Hello, nice to see you.
Hi, good to see you again. Good to be here. I had to unmute myself there for a minute. I just want to say thank you, Adele. Your story greatly mirrors mine. And I'll post that on our chat. As a former school administrator, dean of students, I dealt with a lot of that discipline stuff and followed that whole zero tolerance to the letter. And eventually within this group, I'll share my story. Won't do it now because I'll take up the rest of Justine's time. But I'm glad to be in this program, and having been trained in both RJump and IRP, which is International Institute of Restorative Practices, and actually doing some of this training with some of our good trainers here in San Diego, I can tell you this program here is definitely top notch. This is one program where I hope to take this knowledge into the next phase of my restorative journey of 21 years, and hopefully do some of the advocacy work that needs to be done at state level, you know. And I know people refer to the word lobbying as a negative word, but we need to lobby for this work. We need to lobby for the funding. We need to lobby, you know, for that. That's the restorative justice part, you know, for the whole restorative spectrum of this work. So I just want to say that thank you, Justine. Thank you for all the work that you've done to, you know, for this to happen. And thank you everyone who shared, and thank you for everyone who's going to be part of this program. Okay. And I'll let Annie answer. I mean, take her questions.
Yeah, I can't answer, but
Sorry.
can you guys hear me? Yes. Okay, thank you. Thanks so much for having this. So I'm just to give you a little background. I teach at Siena College in Albany, New York, and we are hoping to start a criminal justice major that's restorative justice focused. And it's very exciting. So I'm hoping to get trained to be able to implement this program. Anyway, my question was actually really practical. I'm signed up for a 3-day hands-on in San Diego there this summer. And I wondered if that's part of the certificate or it's totally different from it.
Yes, it's separate. So we have a lot of trainings coming out of the Center for RJ that are, they're like mini versions of the certificate. And we have people that have gone through those trainings and then, maybe want to replace course 2 with it. But course 2 is a more intensive and longer experience. And then it's also where we build community as a unit. So that's kind of why it's really important, even if you've had other training experiences, even through the Center for RJ, that we stick together in the certificate as a team.
Okay.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you. Sure.
Mhm.
I just had one quick comment to make, that when I was listening to the news and listening to Judge Kazadni Brown Jackson's, her live answering to so many questions that were happening, I was so excited to hear so many things that echoed restorative justice. I was beyond thrilled. I mean, I was like, oh, it's coming. It's getting out there. And it was just, I taught high school for 7 years at San Diego High School, inner city, and did some restorative circles. And then I'm now at a middle school and doing them with my classes once a month. And the kids love them. They're great. And some kids are saying how they never have a place to express who they are, like besides academic. And I don't know, it's like a plug for you all without even meaning to be, that it's happening, I think, so kudos to everyone for doing the work and personal work and out in the community and everything. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Taylor. That's such a beautiful story, and like just even your history in education. Yes, it's people come alive when they're in circle, that's for sure. I also saw a question in the chat. I'll just share that if you have questions about details about like when are the courses, when are they actually held, I'll just say in general, our live courses are always Wednesday evenings. It's kind of the same time that we're meeting right now. So they're 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And that really only applies to course 3 because that's where we meet live online. But it also applies to the skill building intensive if you're doing it during the summer online. So it's always Wednesday afternoons at this point. And then of course the asynchronous pieces, there isn't a particular time that we meet for that. But you can find all of the details on the website link that I shared in the chat. And if you click into each individual course and each individual cohort, you'll see the details. Just looking at the chat to see if there's any other questions. I know we have just a few minutes left. So if there's any other comments, you can raise your hand or put them in the chat. And then
I've got a quick question for you concerning the when you're doing the live interactions and stuff, is that going to be like the course too? It's going to be set then, you said for 6:30 on Wednesdays. It would be my time 6:30, but it's 4:30 Pacific Standard Time. And so the question is, with the cohorts, do you have a limited size for this? Or if you have a lot of people that sign up for like the intensive, for example, would you run like a number, like a 2 or 3 in that course, or are you limited to 12 people or something like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So right now, we have a cohort that starts every fall and every spring. So there's 2 opportunities per year to jump in. And it's a cohort of 25 professionals and 25 graduate students. So it's basically 50 of each per year, 100 people all together. But we're working on building capacity so that instead of just limiting it to that, we can meet whatever need is there. And we try our best to do that. Like usually there's a waiting list, and then we just invite people from the waiting list. So sometimes it's a smaller group, a larger group to start, but that's the goal. And there was one other thing. Yeah, I think that's it for now. Yeah. Thank you for that question. Oh, the other thing is, sometimes people ask, what is the application process? There is no application process. So the cohorts are open until they fill, and you just have to go on and enroll. Yeah, so there's a few spots still left in the fall cohort, and then quite a few spots still left in the spring, but everything usually fills between 4 to 6 months ahead of time. But also, like, if you have any extenuating circumstances, or like you just need to or want to start soon, and all there's available is like a waiting list for the cohort that you want into, just email me directly and we can work together, and I can manually get you in, or whatever needs to happen. I'm happy to work with everyone. Okay, am I missing any hands or questions? Yes, and if you have other questions, just email me directly. I'm gonna put my email in the chat. Actually, somehow I'm having trouble like getting to emailing or messaging everyone. Stefan, do you have the ability? Could you just chat everyone my email address? That'd be okay. Okay, great. Thank you. So we wanted to also close with a checkout. So we like to do a check-in in all of our connections, which we did at the beginning. Where are you coming from, and a mindfulness opportunity. And then here at the end, I was hoping everyone can share in the chat one word of a feeling or a takeaway from this session that you experienced today. So we can just get a sense of where we're all at as we leave this space. Beautiful. So excited, eager, connection, peace and hope, inspired, blessed. Yes. Ready. All right. I like it. Curious. Awesome. Yes, I hope to be in touch with you all, and look forward to journeying together. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you to our panelists and everyone, Stefan, for all of the behind the scenes and making this happen. It was awesome, and we're a minute early. That's also exciting. And I'll hang back for a few minutes if anyone wants to stay on the call and connect, but I'm going to stop the recording.